I realized I needed to make you a follow-up video to cover two important points about what I was saying about seeing God in yourself and in everyone and everything. How do I know God is everything? How do I know God is me, as me? There are two ways. One of them is through reason, and the other is through experience. Reason first. Kashmir Shaivism explains that the universe, that any given thing in the universe is itself. It's a truism. 1 equals 1. 1 is 1. I am me. You are you. The table is the table. A door is ajar, but that's a little different. So the Sister Unity-ness of Sister Unity's existence, the table being a table-ness of the table, is its self, with a capital S. My self is the being of me. Your own self is the core you of you. This self of all things, each thing having its own being, its own existence, the fact that it exists is its self. This self of all things, the self of the universe, is equivalent to the Absolute, Brahman, God, the transcendent reality. So you can't really refute that everything is, because you observe it being. Well, Kashmir Shaivism explains that their description of God, their definition of the Absolute is all of that. Its existence is God. Its being is God. Its self is the self, capital S, another name for God. So it's not that God is a table, per se. It's that the table is a piece of existence, and that existence, by its mere nature of its power of existing, is God. This is a little subtle and sometimes difficult to talk about. But if you describe God as all that is, then all that is God. The other way that I discover this to be true is practice. I myself practice yoga, meditation, chanting sacred texts, chanting mantras that have the power of turning the awareness back into its source, and other spiritual practices, contemplation, prayer, selfless service. These practices allow my mind and my emotions a certain amount of stillness and clarity that increases over time as I practice them. And the point of having this stillness and this mental clarity, this perceptual clarity, is so that that which already exists within my own experience can be seen. The most subtle experiences are hard to discern, hard to see and feel and know when my mind is busy thinking, working, seeing, observing, smelling, tasting, being, having fun, getting dramatic, being sad, figuring out life, looking for a new whatever. So I calm all that down with these practices and get it very still. And then the refined power of my perception, my awareness, waits, open, and observes. And in that openness, whatever exists that is not all those things outside that are attracting my attention, attracting my senses, and making my mind work in its logical capacities, all that's not that can then be seen. And what is left, what shows through, comes up from inside me into my awareness. And my experience is I get a feeling, like a hum. It's a kind of a ticklish energy, like when you hold magnets close but not touching, and you hold them apart. Or you reverse them and you push them against each other and they don't want to go. And your fingertips sort of hum and resonate and tickle. It's like that inside of myself when I'm doing these practices, when my mind is clear and still. And sometimes I have seen very, very bright white lights. Sometimes I've seen what they call Nila Bindu, the blue pearl, a spark of blue energy. All of these things are extraordinary, and they tell me that something else is going on, something deeper, something more than I had considered or known before I began doing these practices. So there it is. I've opened a door and I know that something's going on. Well, how does this mean that God is in everything? Well, I'm having these extraordinary experiences inside of my own self. So if I can be different than I thought I was, then it stands to reason that there must be more to the universe, that there may be more to the universe than I had suspected. Now, I'm going to continue doing this homework until I find whether or not this is really true, that I experience everything as divine. But in the meantime, I trust my own experience. And it just so happens that my own experience concurs exactly with the ancient descriptions in yogic texts and Buddhist texts and Sufi texts and Kabbalah texts and even texts from mystic Christianity that describe the nature of reality and describe the experience of great spiritual masters who have plumbed the depths of the nature of truth and reality. And because it agrees with their descriptions, I'm willing to go with my belief. I have faith because I trust those who went before me performing their own research, which concurs with my own experience. My faith is not blind. My faith comes from my research. That's how I personally know. And I offer you, I challenge you to perform your own research and to let me know what you discover to be true.